Good afternoon, Bob from Trade Genius here. It's the 8th of December and interesting day. This is the second day in a row that we had both SPY up and VIX up. And there is a report that came out that essentially says that when these both are happening in tandem, for obvious reasons, people are now putting on protection for positions that they own for them to be able to take those positions off. And so obviously what's coming up in front of us is, three events, right? You got the Fed, and everybody pretty sure they think they know what they're going to happen there. Then you got the Christmas or Hanukkah holiday, and then you have the start of the new year. And so, what I thought was interesting today is watching the action. I was trading XIB on the 3-minute, and what I thought was really interesting is that when the market was selling off, the VIX was also selling off too, which gives me the notion that that's exactly what's happening. Traders were taking positions off, and they were taking off the volatility hedges that they put on with puts. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see, as the market goes up, people are going to put on volatility. As they take their trades off, they're going to sell volatility. But I think volatility is going to catch a move higher simply because it's going to overwhelm. These are the early people. It's going to overwhelm the late traders. And we're also going into a contract roll on the 21st of December. And I'm sure there's a lot of people short of the VIX contract right now. And so they're going to have to roll those contracts, and that means it's going to put some pressure on the markets and drive VIX higher. So you can see it here. We had an official buy signal right here, and now it's overbought, and now we'll have to see if it embeds up there like it did back here when we had ahead of the election. And my suspicion is that we're just way oversold on volatility. The average is in this 15 to 16 range, and I see no reason why it's not going to try to get there. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. I think it's going to put some pressure on the markets, and the markets were interesting today. We hit a I guess the weekly pivot. We hit the R4, and which is incredible. I think it's like one out of every 4 years or something like that. I mean, it's pretty rare, and it pushed through it and came back down to it. In fact, it's still a little bit above it. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. But I think this is money pushing up to get people to cover so they can get out. And, my view on this is that, we're either going to stop back here. We're going to stop here at the bottom of this channel right here, or we're going to go all the way back and fill this gap. And, my viewpoint is I think we're going to come back and fill this gap before there's anything sustained. There's just a lot of people way ahead of themselves. I mean, the market's up to almost 20% from the election night low. This is 4 or 5 years worth of versus the GDP growth of our country. And we know that every company is stretched. Margins are at peak. Interest rates are going up. Their funding costs are going up. People are still broke. Trump's president, but they're still broke. And in fact, the restaurant industry reported actually a sales decline. I think it's probably the first time ever. And so, that means people just simply don't have the money. And, we just got those big, huge healthcare increases. So I just think this is people getting the heck out of Dodge here before the Trump cavalry comes rolling in. On the conspiracy theory side, I think they're setting him up to, try to create him like another Hoover, crash this thing on his watch, and blame him, and which would be a shame. But at the very least, people are going to get out because the getting was good for a long time, and now I just can't see him push this thing up. They keep talking about inflation. People fundamentally don't understand what inflation is, and so they assume it's rising prices, but it's not really rising prices. That's just a manifestation. It's just really the increase in credit, and actually, this country's been struggling to increase credit, and so rich people don't need credit. Poor people can't get credit, and the government has maxed out the auto industry, and the government has maxed out the student loan industry, and so all that's left is the government. And so, if they're raising interest rates into that because now they found their backbone, I guess they're either in alignment with Obama or scared of him. Trump, they're going to be opposed to him, and so I just don't see this ending anyway but as an absolute disaster. So I can see this thing coming right back down, but we got to play it while we can play it. And that's my thoughts on SPY. UNG, natural gas is still plugging away, but I'm watching for this rollover right here. If this thing rolls over, we're not making a new high, then I think we're definitely going to get a retrace. And I talked about the gaps. The cold weather's been out in the news now for the last 2 weeks, and I think the big excuse now is when we have like a winter thaw coming, like a January thaw or a Christmas thaw. They're going to use that to really sell natural gas down to get positioned for the next wave of cold. And folks, I've been telling you guys, it's going to get cold. It's going to stay cold, and it's going to stay cold for a long time. People are going to be shocked at how cold it's going to be. And by the time this winter's over, people are going to be laughing at people who believed in the whole global warming meme, because you're going to see what cold really is all about. And the warm advocates, what can they point to? What was the horror in the last 20 years with global warming? No hurricanes, no tornadoes, the insurance industry, no major categories landfall in the U.S. I mean, it's just incredible. And so, now we're going to get cold, and you're going to see the jet streams getting really undulating, and that creates the boundaries for these sharp weather events. And as things get cold, we're going to start getting, and you see it, snow in Saudi Arabia, these intense lightning storms and tornado activity in the Western Mediterranean. And these things aren't going to end, and so just keep your eye on the food prices, and the one that we're starting with is just get your hands into some of these ag chems. We're in a trade right now. It's we're up just about $1 on it, and momentum's resetting, but we're still making higher lows, so we're staying in it, and we see big things for this. Here's the other one. I don't trade this because price is too high, but this is the nitrogen company, and same thing. Look at this thing. Bottom left to top right. It's just amazing. Here's some names that we don't follow, but it's doing the same thing. Look at potash. Look at IPI if you like to chase smaller stuff. Look at that. It's a double. Just incredible. And these guys are going to probably get bought out. So anyway, that's on that. And then, the food prices have been kind of stagnant, as just on and on. But, got another buy signal on wheat. And we're keeping the stops tight. And one of these times this trend's going to go. And so we're following it. There's winter wheat kill right now being reported in the Central Plains. That's when they put the wheat in the ground for the spring harvest, but snow didn't cover it before it got too cold, and it's killing the shoots. And so we're starting to see some of that. So bear that in mind. And then, did you guys see oil today? Absolutely crazy. This is why when things are way overvalued because they're being supported through derivatives, this kind of stuff happens. Look at this. And people trading in the futures market, and they're highly leveraged. I mean, this move here, cost people $1,000, $1,500 a contract, and they got stopped out just because Russia said maybe they're not going to attend the OPEC non-OPEC meeting, or that's not going to happen, and then just said never mind. I mean, this is what you're dealing with, which tells me that this price is more right than this price. So just, keep an eye on that. And then, gold, it keeps getting bottled at this 1180 area. And, this is after hours crap that you always see as a 5-minute chart. So hold on, let me pull out here a little farther. They jacked the yen again, and they did this yesterday, and gold came right back. We'll see if it comes back again. Let me go to the 2 hour here. So just grind. But it's set up for momentum. We got some higher lows. And one of these days, the dam will break. Anyway, this is Bob from Trade Genius. Come join us, make some money, and enjoy the camaraderie. And, you need a support group to get yourself through these trying times. Our price is reasonable for our service, and we are like the movie channel. We're always working to help you make money. Thanks. Bye-bye.